Listeners who are blind, have low vision, or have another print disability, which makes reading, holding a book, or turning a page difficult or impossible. The content is copyrighted by the respective publishers. For more information, please visit us on the web at nfradioreading.org.
Hello, this is Bruce, and for the next hour I'll be reading from the December 11th, Thursday, December 11th issues of the Batavia Daily News, serving Genesee, Wyoming, and Orleans counties on the Niagara Frontier radio reading service. The top story, and there's a picture of the fire, is major fire hits Reisdorf Brothers. Damages estimated at $2.5 million in 3-alarm blaze. Article by Matt Sertel. Only wreckage remained Wednesday after an intense fire erupted in a warehouse at Reisdorf Brothers, Inc. The blaze was reported about 3:30 a.m. at the well-known feed business at 1830 Perry Road. It escalated quickly with multiple area fire departments responding. The building and about 7 delivery trucks inside were destroyed. The fire call originally came in at 3:30 this morning, said Assistant Chief Kyle Meyer of the North Java Fire Department. About 6 hours later, as firefighting efforts continued, I automatically activated our second and third alarms due to the nature of the building structures, he said. We're currently working with approximately 15 departments on scene and 10 or 11 tankers doing water shuttles and 2 aerials. Lines of fire tankers formed a relay, dumping water loads into portable reservoirs as the firefighting efforts continued. Ladder trucks from Warsaw and East Aurora poured water onto the wreckage from above. The blaze had been discovered by a Reisdorf employee arriving for work. When I got here, the fire was through the roof in the back part of the structure, Meyer said. We were unable to get into the structure to get any of the trucks out. It was an open warehouse housing animal feed, minerals, and used for storage for their trucks in the wintertime. Some explosions occurred, but the cause wasn't known. Possibly the tires on the trucks, he said. 3 firefighters suffered non-life-threatening injuries, fall-related injuries. 1 was taken to a hospital for medical attention, while 2 others were treated at the scene. The warehouse was described as 60 by 300 feet. A forklift was also destroyed, with total damages estimated at $2.5 million. Firefighters were at the scene for 9 hours. An investigation into the cause is continuing. A long list of fire departments responded to the blaze, including North Java, Strikersville, Sheldon, Varysburg, Bennington, Harris Corners, Arcade, Bliss, Pike, Warsaw, Perry, East Aurora, Chaffee, Sardinia, and Wales Center. Units from Attica and Holland were on standby. Wyoming County Emergency Management also responded, along with county sheriff's deputies, highway department personnel, the county hazmat team, and Wyoming County EMS. Epic Environmental and the Spurline Construction Corporation likewise assisted at the scene, along with North Java Squad 10, Town of Sheldon and Town of Java crews, State Police, State Department of Environmental Conservation personnel, New York State Electric and Gas crews, and Crab Oil. Reisdorf Brothers, Inc. has sustained several significant fires over the past 5 years. Damages were estimated at $300,000 after a repair shop caught fire in November of 2022 at the business. The business also sustained an estimated $2 million in losses after a pellet machine used to make animal feed malfunctioned and ignited a blaze in May of 2021. This includes reporting by Mark Gutman. WROTB Board debates future of winter racing. Article by Mike Pedinella. Western Region Off-Track Betting Corp. Directors are debating the pros and cons of continuing winter harness horse racing at Batavia Downs Gaming. WROTB Communications Director Mike DeGeorge told the Daily News that Wednesday's racing card was canceled by the state racing judge at 4:55 p.m., 5 minutes before post time, due to weather conditions. DeGeorge said that frequent cancellations last year are prompting management to think twice about winter racing in 2026. The board discussed the matter during committee meetings today in executive session and will continue talks on Thursday during the full board meeting, DeGeorge said. Management has provided the board with some concerns going forward. DeGeorge said management has met with Batavia Downs racing employees who expressed their displeasure with not being able to work and the inconvenience to customers because of last-minute cancellations. Reportedly, officials of the Western New York Harness Horsemen's Association are asking WROTB management to reconsider its decision to halt winter racing. The Daily News reached out to Michael Torsello, WNYHHA administrator, for comment, but did not hear back by press time. Batavia Downs has 3 more horse racing dates on the current meet schedule: December 13th, December 17th, and December 20th, all with 5 p.m. post time. Virgin plans $1 million sewer system project. Article by Brian Quinn. The village plans to pursue a $1 million project to address inflow and infiltration issues in its sewer system, which limit wastewater treatment capacity and economic growth. Senators Chuck Schumer and Kirsten Gillibrand recently announced $1 million in federal funding for the project through the Northern Border Regional Commission. Mayor Joseph Chimino said the option the village chose was an option that includes proposed spot repairs in the sewer system and manhole installation. According to a July report to the village by its engineering firm CPL, Clark Patterson Lee, the cost of this option was about $1,998,000. However, Virgin can only afford to do $1 million worth of work, the mayor said. He added that the village hasn't received the money from the Regional Commission. Village Administrator Courtney Gale said the village is very excited about the grant funding and thanked the Regional Commission. The village will be seeking further grants to bridge the gap in funding to complete the project. There is no way we can afford it right now. Beyond the $1 million in funding, Gale said, there's no money in the budget for that. We can't afford to borrow any either. We will pare down the project. If we just have the $1 million, we will just address the worst spots and go from there. According to the CPL report, under the project upon Virgin chose to pursue, the scope of work includes 15 instances of pipe sections that needed repair. It also includes removal and replacement of pipe sections that had sagging sections, which hurt the flow of the system. Sagging sections that were identified include about 360 feet of 4-inch piping and 360 feet of 6-inch piping. This option includes adding 41 critical manholes. The manholes would help with the maintenance and operation of the system. This option also includes upgrading 6 existing manhole covers to be watertight that are located in the 100-year floodplain. According to CPL's report, the project will support expansion of the Apple Tree Acres Business Park and enable new residential development. CPL said the aging collection system has been elevated sanitary flows when it rained and or snow melted, most likely due to inflow and infiltration. The engineering firm said inflow is typically surface runoff and is often related to private connections. Infiltration is water that is entering the sewer system through system defects such as cracked pipes or open joints in mainline sewers or service laterals. This source of water would otherwise not need treatment. The plant only has so much capacity. When we have those events, snow and rainfall, especially the spring thaw, groundwater gets in the system and maxes out the capacity of what the plant can treat, Gale said. Chimino and Gale both said the village just found out about the $1 million grant. CPL noted the village of Virgin owns and maintains 375 septic tanks as a part of its overall sewer system. There are 44,000 feet of sanitary sewer piping and 58 manholes. Christ Church Carpenter family settling in. Planting pastor Chris Carpenter says he's establishing relationships with community. Article by Brian Quinn. A relatively new church that began with one family has been growing a little over the last few weeks. We have had new visitors almost every week since we started. I think our first week we had 15 people, said planting pastor Chris Carpenter. Some weeks there are 5 or 6 of us, sometimes more. We've had lots of good conversations with people and lots of good engagement. It's just getting the word out there at this point. Christ Church, 101 Richmond Avenue, inside the Seventh-day Adventist Church, began in October with Carpenter, his wife Emily, and their daughter Shiloh, 10, son Judah, 8, and daughter Remedy, 3. The church has services at 11 a.m. on Sundays. I am the church planting pastor. I have a background in pastoral ministry. I went to Reformed Theological Seminary in Orlando, Florida, and got a Master's of Divinity, Chris Carpenter said. I was a lead pastor in 2 different churches in a span of 5 years. When we came back to New York, where my wife is from, we decided to plant a church here, also where we saw a need for conservative, biblical, Christ-centered ministry. When Chris Carpenter, 41, lived in Florida, his life included a 12-year journey with drug addiction from about age 11 to age 23. He served time in the Hernando County Jail. He began to turn his life around after hearing a minister who came to preach at the jail one day while Carpenter was there. Carpenter said the minister told a story about a woman who had been sick with a blood condition for 12 years. The woman felt that touching Jesus' garment would heal her. When God converted me, I was into drugs, and I was really on a collision course with death. God intervened in my life and wonderfully saved me and set me free. I had been on this path of destruction for 12 years, he said. All the bad stuff I did made me broken. I knew I needed a Savior. God snatched me up out of my life and gave me healing and forgiveness. When he and his family came to Batavia, they reached out to a couple of different churches in the area. We wanted a church building. We didn't necessarily want to meet in a mess hall. We contacted a few different churches. This church was very open to have us come in and meet them and check out the facilities, Chris Carpenter said of Seventh-day Adventist. They were just totally in support of what I wanted to do and opened their doors wide to us. We really loved the church and the location we thought was perfect. Emily Carpenter said her roots are in Western New York. I think our efforts are going into working on consistency and building a foundation. Who knows, God may open more doors in the community. We're open to whatever he would do. I grew up in Attica, but I've lived in Batavia a few different times, she said. I support Chris and encourage him along the way. I'm his encourager and helper. Chris Carpenter's ministry extends beyond the walls of Christ Church. However, he is at the recovery station on Clinton Street Road twice a month. Chris Carpenter said the plan to continue to have the Bible study at 6:30 p.m. on the second and fourth Wednesday of each month. The recovery station provides safe, sober health and wellness activities for those in recovery from a substance use disorder and their families. On the second and fourth Wednesday of each month, we have what we call our midweek mission. I asked them, the recovery station, because of my background, if I could come in and teach a recovery-based Bible study. He said they were open to me doing that. We started in November. We're there looking at the Bible, learning how to live again, one truth at a time. It's open to anybody who wants to come. Looking at the Bible says about how should live and love. We all have some sort of brokenness in our lives. I can relate to those people and like to meet those people on a level they can understand. That kind of sparked my desire to do ministry there and have a ministry. As we move toward the holidays, Christ Church is having Advent services at 11 a.m. Sundays, leading up to Christmas Eve. On Christmas Eve, there will be a 6:30 p.m. traditional candlelight service with readings and the Gospels. They will sing long-standing traditional church songs. Chris Carpenter said. At the end, we will sing Silent Night with the candles lit and depart, he said. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Batavia Daily News on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Shoppers urged to buy peaceful toys. Annual demonstration takes place at Geneseo Plaza. Article by Joseph DeBell. Shoppers arriving at the Genesee Valley Plaza were met Saturday by 17 demonstrators holding stuffed animals, soccer balls, and signs urging passerby to buy peaceful toys. The gathering in Gateway Park at Route 20A and Volunteer Road, across from the plaza, marked the 42nd year of the Genesee Valley Citizens for Peace's holiday tradition, a protest that asks families to rethink what children learn through play. The annual demonstration, first held in the early 1980s, encourages families to choose toys that foster creativity, cooperation, and community, rather than items associated with violence and war. Among those lining the roadside was Suzanne Blackburn, a member of the Religious Society of Friends, commonly known as Quakers. Blackburn said both her faith and her moral outlook bring her to protest each year. I believe that there is dignity and worth in all people, and that we should be working for peace in all of our actions, individually and as a community and as a nation, Blackburn said. Blackburn said the group's signs are intentionally worded to emphasize possibility rather than restriction. It doesn't say don't buy war toys, it says buy peaceful toys, she said. I encourage people to have experiences together, to choose gifts that help people be creative, that build community, that let families spend time with one another. She described peaceful toys as anything that invites shared play. Dolls, board games, toy trucks, dress-up clothes, and musical instruments. Does it promote creativity? Does it build community? Does it help people be together and learn good values? She said, those are the questions we should ask. For Holly Adams, who has been a member of the organization for more than 15 years, the message is rooted in her work as a teacher and a mother. I think that what we provide our children with matters, the role models we present to them and the way of life that we show them, she said. It's important to raise peaceful people who have empathy and care for their fellow man. Adams said she considers toy guns and other weapon-like toys to be harmful because they normalize violence in play. If we provide children with play weapons of war, then they're going to think that's okay, she said. She also noted the growing presence of violent video games, which she believes don't help people learn ways of getting along or settling differences peacefully. Several participants also connected their concerns about children's toys to broader anxieties about rising global tensions, particularly the Trump administration's aggression toward Venezuela. As veterans, we've seen the horror of war, what it does and how easily people are brainwashed because of the messages they receive as children, said the Reverend James Schwartz. Our society tells them that war is a game, but those of us who've been in war know that it's not. Schwartz said that war-themed toys, toy soldiers, guns, and online war games all contribute to a misunderstanding of violence and its consequences. Killing inanimate objects on a video screen is not the same as murdering people, he said. Children need to understand that these are real humans, human beings, fathers, brothers, sons, and not characters on a screen. Hank Stone, who attended the demonstration dressed as Santa Claus, said the influence of the defense industry is one reason he views peaceful toys as a symbolic counterweight. The weapons business is entirely corrupt, Stone said. Companies profit from war, and that makes it harder for society to imagine alternatives. If we want a different future, we have to start by teaching children that conflict isn't something to imitate. City police officers sworn in. There's a picture of 3. New Police Chief Christopher Camp was sworn in Monday night by City Clerk Heidi Parker. Assistant Police Chief Matthew Ludy takes the oath of office during Monday night's City Council meeting. Matthew Wojciechowski takes the oath of office Monday night as the department's new detective sergeant. Crash investigation yields gun charge. Rochester woman charged after handheld gun allegedly recovered. An investigation into a September crash in Geneseo has led to a gun charge for a Rochester woman, reports the Livingston County Sheriff's Office. Brianna Akers, 28, was arrested December 4th by Sheriff's investigator Michael Wade and charged with second-degree criminal possession of a weapon, a Class C felony, and criminal possession of a firearm, a Class E felony. The charges stem from an investigation begun September 19th after deputies responded to a motor vehicle crash on Route 39 in the town of Geneseo. During the crash investigation, a handgun was located at the scene, the sheriff's office said. The investigation into the found handgun revealed that none of the occupants in the crash vehicle possessed a valid New York State pistol permit, and that the handgun was not registered in New York State, the sheriff's office said. The handgun was tracked from South Carolina to Virginia and then to New York State, the sheriff's office said. Akers, following her arrest, was transported to Livingston County Jail, where she was turned over to central booking deputies for processing and pre-arraignment detention. Akers was later arraigned at Livingston County Centralized Arraignment Part at Livingston County Jail before Village of Dansville Justice Scott Kenny, who released Akers on her own recognizance as the offenses did not qualify for bail under the State Bail Reform Act. The Livingston County Public Defender's Office represented Akers at her arraignment. The Livingston County District Attorney Office was also present at the arraignment. Water outage spurs Genesee OFA changes. Batavia. A series of temporary service adjustments has been announced at the Genesee County Office for the Aging after a water outage. The changes are effective through Friday, with more updates planned. The water outage was caused by a frozen and burst sprinkler at the adjacent former YMCA facility. Senior Center activities. All community senior center activities are canceled Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Participants will also receive updates through Blooming Health. Community partner meetings. Meetings scheduled for this week or next may need to be relocated. The OFA will notify partners directly once alternative meeting locations are confirmed. Appointments and walk-in services. The OFA building remains open during normal business hours, but the OFA is unable to accept walk-in appointments at this time. Details include the front desk will take names and phone numbers from visitors. Staff will return calls to schedule appointments. Appointments may be held at alternative locations, which will be communicated directly to individuals as needed. Staff availability. Front desk and management staff will remain on site at OFA. All other OFA staff will be temporarily working from alternate county locations. Phone extensions will remain active, and staff will continue to return calls promptly. Meal site changes. The Congregate meal site is temporarily relocated to Havenwood Congregate Apartments on 240 Richmond Avenue in Batavia for the remainder of the week. Additional information will be provided directly to participants. Further updates. The OFA will provide further updates on services, staffing, and senior center activities for the week of December 15th to 19th, contingent on the status of repairs. Call the OFA at 585-343-1611 for more information. Parents welcome to attend LEICC meetings. Parents are encouraged to attend the local Early Intervention Coordinating Council's quarterly meeting. The meeting will take place at 3 to 4 p.m. Wednesday at the Orleans County Health Department on 4016 Route 31, Suite 101 in Albion. Refreshments will be provided. The LEICC aims to help parents and other members voice their thoughts on the Genesee and Orleans County Early Intervention Program and to work together to improve it. Parents are encouraged to offer input as to how they can best meet the needs of all area infants and toddlers. For Zoom connection information or more information, contact Deborah Krenzer-Luder at 585-344-2580, extension 5572, or 585-589-2777. Looking backward, on this date, December 11th, in 2008, Bernard Bernie Madoff, arrested and charged with securities fraud in what was called a $50 billion Ponzi scheme. In 2006, President of Mexico, Felipe Calderon, launches a military-led offensive against drug cartel violence in the state of Michoacán. 2001, People's Republic of China joins the World Trade Organization. 1997, the Kyoto Protocol International Treaty, intended to reduce emissions of greenhouse gases, opens for signature. 1981, military forces in El Salvador kill over 800 civilians in what is known as the El Mozote Massacre during the Salvadoran Civil War. 1978, massive demonstrations take place in Tehran against the Shah. 1972, Challenger, the lunar lander for Apollo 17, touches down on the moon's surface, the last time that men visit the moon. 1967, the Concorde, a joint British-French venture and the world's first supersonic airliner, is unveiled in Toulouse, France. 1964, Frank Sinatra Jr. is returned home to his parents after being kidnapped for the ransom amount of $240,000. 1955, Israel raids Syrian positions on the Sea of Galilee. 1951, Joe DiMaggio announces his retirement from baseball. 1945, a Boeing B-29 Superfortress shatters all records by crossing the United States in 5 hours and 27 minutes. 1941, the United States declares war on Italy and Germany. 1936, Britain's King Edward VIII abdicates the throne to marry American Wallis Warfield Simpson. Thought for the day. No grand idea was ever born in a conference, but a lot of foolish ideas have died there. F. Scott Fitzgerald. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Batavia Daily News on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. State announces historic registry nominations. Picks include buildings and districts in Erie, Chautauqua, and Cattaraugus counties. Article by Jonathan D. Epstein, The Buffalo News. An envelope manufacturing facility in Buffalo, an energy-efficient office building, 2 former Western New York residences, a historic district in Forestville, and an Olean Basilica are poised to take their place in history after being nominated for listing on the state and national registries of historic places. The State Board of Historic Preservation recommended adding 19 properties and districts across the state to the official lists of buildings, structures, districts, landscapes, objects, and sites that are considered significant to the history of the state and nation. More than 128,000 historic properties across New York are listed, and such properties and their owners are eligible for federal and state historic tax credits and grants for renovations. From 2018 to 2024, property owners in New York have invested $7.17 billion in rehabilitation expenses, the most of any state, and $16.4 billion since 2009. The history of the people of New York is imprinted in the architecture and places around us, Governor Kathy Hochul said in a statement. These nominations to the state and national registers show our commitment to preserving New York's rich and diverse story and making it accessible for future generations. In Western New York, the Buffalo Envelope Company building at the corner of Michigan Avenue and Seneca Streets was recommended for its role in producing envelopes for sale between 1909 and 1959. The company had been founded in 1888 at another location, but moved into the new building's six-story section in 1899. The building at 270 Michigan received multiple additions in the 20th century, eventually occupying an entire city block. Buffalo Envelope was acquired in 1959 by Ohio-based Champion International, which sold it in 1989 when it stopped being used as a production facility. The building still has an intact spiraling chute where envelope production started at the top and worked its way down the building. The 128,820 square foot building is now owned by Ellicott Development Company, which renovated into 3 floors of commercial office spaces and 3 floors of apartments. Also in Buffalo, the North Star building at 1012 Fountain Plaza, which was constructed more recently in 1981 to 1982, was cited as architecturally significant for its pioneering design in the realm of energy efficiency. In the wake of the energy crisis of the late 1970s and early 1980s. Also located at 560 Main Street, it was named for North Star Bank, which was acquired by Fleet Financial Group and later Bank of America Corp., and is now the Bank of America building. Despite being less than 50 years of age, the building has exceptional significance as an early experiment in what is now recognized as sustainable design, the state said. Designed by Mark Mendel of Canon Design, the building utilized a dramatically angled site orientation that includes both passive solar design and wind screening, as well as light shelves and an atrium with a skylight to provide natural light, and roof-mounted solar collectors for heat transfer. These elements, which enable cost savings, were the first of their kind in downtown Buffalo, and the first time they were used together for energy efficiency. As stewards for New York's history, we recognize the positive impact listings in the registers have on communities throughout the state, said Kathy Mosier, acting commissioner for Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation. From recording local history before it is lost to unlocking access to grants and incentive programs, the state and national register programs create opportunities to inspire pride of place, encourage investment, and catalyze collaborations. The other 4 Western New York nominations include the Burton H. Bird House. The Burton H. Hurd House in Elma, which was built for Burton H. Hurd, a descendant of one of the town's earliest families, and a prominent business figure in Buffalo's lumber industry. Designed in 1912 by architects Harris and Merritt as a secondary summer home, the colonial revival-style suburban home gave Hurd a place to entertain guests and demonstrate his social status, while servants could perform household work discreetly in separate spaces in the north wing. A small first-floor pantry connected to the kitchen and dining room, while a set of stairs provided direct access to the maid's room, kitchen and laundry room in the basement, so that staff could be hidden. Core features are largely still intact. Smith Henry Building. The Smith Henry Building in Buffalo, which was originally constructed in 1855 as a two-story brick home with a rear extension for hatmaker Samuel Smith, but then later altered and enlarged in 1914 by lawyer and real estate developer John J. Henry to include 2 first-floor storefronts and several apartments upstairs. Henry had enveloped the front of the house with a new 3-story portion that expanded its potential use, but still retains mid-1800s details in an otherwise 2-part commercial block building from the 1910s. According to the state, the building demonstrates the impact of commercial real estate development on 1800s domestic architecture. Forestville Historic District. The Center and Pearl Streets Historic District in Forestville, in the Chautauqua County town of Hanover, located between Forestville's commercial Main Street and the railroad depot, the district evolved from a collection of mills and houses in a forested area in the early 1800s into a tree-lined streetscape featuring homes for some of the community's wealthiest families after the arrival of the New York and Erie Railroad in 1851. The residential neighborhood, which benefited from access to the railroad, changed and expanded as rail gave way to cars and trucks, demonstrating the impact of transportation in turning an isolated rural farm community into one connected to the larger world. St. Mary's of the Angels. The St. Mary's of the Angels complex in Olean, which sits in a residential neighborhood on a small hill that rises from the Allegheny River. The company includes the Roman Catholic Basilica of St. Mary of the Angels, the former St. Mary's Convent, the former Rectory and Carriage House, and the Parish Life Center and former St. Mary's Academy. The basilica was built in 1915 and features a 3-story Gothic Revival stone church with twin spires, known for its Munich-style windows and interior art. The former Academy building and convent, constructed in 1924, are red brick Tudor-style buildings with limestone trim, while the Rectory and Carriage House are a Victorian residence. The recommendations must still be reviewed for approval by Mosier and then by the National Park Service. Whitman's art breaks boundaries. Piece now on display at City Center. Article by Brian Quinn. Mary Jo Whitman didn't have much trouble finding a place to put her recent art project, Breaking Boundaries. Whitman, Go Arts Education SCR Director, said the project was a partnership with the Batavia Development Corporation to apply for statewide community regrant program money to bring art into the city center. The project, Breaking Boundaries, received a $5,000 grant through Go Art. There's a lot of nature themes going on with the other artwork, so I decided to keep with that theme. I wanted to do something that broached 2D and 3D work, Whitman said. Whitman said she had been generally working on the piece for the past several months. It's on the wall across from Everybody Eats, not far from City Wall. I finished it up last week. We decided to have the reception for it today so that everybody could come out and see it. Meet me, talk about it, she said Monday evening at the city center. Whitman said she did the panels for the piece at home. I brought them and hung them on the wall. I built the trees here during business hours, she said. People who are coming or doing their walking, stopping at Everybody Eats or Genesee Dental, would stop by and watch me work. Whitman said she worked on the panels for roughly 2 months while completing other art projects. She worked at the Cine Center on the trees for about 3 weeks. She had finished the piece by December 4th. Batavia Development Corporation, BDC, Director of Economic Development Tammy Hathaway, said that because there's so much public space in the city center, the city is allowing art on any of the walls it owns. The BDC has collaborated with local artists such as Whitman, Brian Kemp, and David Burke on multiple projects. Artist Bill Shute previously completed a project in the city center. Burke's project, Earth, Water, and Sky, was finished Monday. Genesee UMC to present Holiday Cantata. The Chancel Choir of the Genesee United Methodist Church will present a free holiday concert December 14th, featuring selections from The Winter Rose by Joseph and Pamela Martin. The concert, which is open to the community, is scheduled for 2 p.m. in the sanctuary of the church, 4520 Genesee Street, Route 63 at the base of Court Street. Led by director Cynthia Towler, with keyboard accompanist Connor Akata, the concert will include carols for the congregation to sing, festive seasonal favorites, and the featured cantata accompanied by a string quartet of Eastman School of Music students and a brass ensemble. Additional vocalists from the community, along with singers from the Eastman School of Music, will be part of the holiday choral group. The cantata, The Winter Rose, will serve as the highlight and will conclude the concert. The Winter Rose incorporates both traditional carols and newly composed anthems that visit the timeless Christmas story with fresh insight. Through the use of music narration and simple symbolism, the cantata presents the life of Christ from prophecy to passion. Following the performance, the Geneseo United Women in Faith will host a reception with light refreshments. Free will donations to the Parish Outreach Center will be gratefully accepted to support this nonprofit medical ministry, now in its 21st year of service to the community. The event wraps up a year-long celebration of the founding of the Geneseo United Methodist Church. Uniting for Joy. Rotary Clubs of Leroy, Bloomfield present Her Christmas Carol. Article by Jim Ellison. As we approach the festive season, we are reminded of the magic that the holidays can bring. The twinkle of lights, sparkling decorations, and the sense of wonder that fills the air. This year, the Rotary Club of Leroy is joining with the Rotary Club of Bloomfield as both clubs support the Joy Project, an inspiring initiative designed to rekindle the spirit of Christmas and create cherished traditions for today's families. The Joy Project goes far beyond dazzling displays. It is about building community. Through collaborative efforts, the Rotary Club of Leroy and the Joy Project are bringing generations together to share laughter, joy, and renewed sense of belonging. This year's highlight is a unique stage radio show, Her Christmas Carol, which puts a twist on Dickens' classic tale of miser Ebenezer Scrooge. 2 performances scheduled for 3 and 7 p.m. Saturday, December 13th at St. Mark's Episcopal Church, 1 East Main Street. This project allows the Joy Project to introduce new displays, keep the festivities fresh, and extend holiday happiness to every visitor. Your support, whether big or small, will help keep the magic alive, bringing smiles to children, seeing it for the first time, and rekindling fond memories for adults. Tickets for Her Christmas Carol, which cost $12, can be purchased in Leroy at Tompkins Bank, 29 Main Street, St. Mark's Church, 1 East Main Street, and Copart, 4 West Avenue, and online at leroyrotary.seatyourself.biz. The Joy Project, a free exhibit inspired by the former Sibley's Building store in Rochester, brings old-time Christmas to life in the exhibit hall at St. Mark's Episcopal Church from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Saturdays and noon to 4 p.m. Sundays through December 21st. A Christmas Village and train display. Department snow windows with animatronics, hand-painted murals of Christmases of yesteryear by artist Lori Longhenny, and a one-of-a-kind diorama of the 1937 radio show The Cinnamon Bear are included. New displays this year include a tiered Christmas tree and a plate train table. We are grateful for the caring friends and sponsors of our community. Together, the Rotary Clubs of Leroy and Bloomfield invite you to join us in making this season truly special for everyone. Let's ignite the spirit of giving and show what we can achieve when our Rotary Clubs unite for good. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Batavia Daily News on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Letters from Father Christmas. Genesee Chorale present Imaginative Holiday Concert. Article by Ben Beagle. Children writing letters to Santa is a tradition for many families. Youngsters sharing their wishes for Christmas, which may be toys for themselves or others, or expressing a desire for Santa to deliver help to others in need. But what if Santa penned a letter to us? That is the idea behind the Genesee Chorale's upcoming holiday concert, Letters from Father Christmas. The performance is scheduled for 4 p.m. December 13th at St. James Episcopal Church, 405 East Main Street. The program is built around a simple yet profound question. If Santa wrote us a letter, what would he say? The letter from Santa discusses simple things like what his home looks like, what it is like to ride in his sleigh, Christmas colors, and Christmas magic, said choral director Rick Jones, but also focuses on more serious things like feeling a loss at Christmas, the nostalgia we feels at Christmas, and his wish for peace. Jones decided on the theme of the concert after reading J.R.R. Tolkien's book, Letters from Father Christmas. Tolkien, perhaps best known for his Lord of the Rings books, wrote an annual series of letters to his children in the guise of Father Christmas. These letters and drawings, sent between 1920 and 1943, detailed life at the North Pole with whimsical adventures involving characters such as a polar bear, goblins, elves, and the man in the moon. The stories were published in book form in 1976, 3 years after Tolkien's death. The letters are very cute and the drawings are beautifully done, said Jones. After reading this book, I was struck with the questions of, if Santa wrote a letter to all of us, adults, what would he say? From there, he set out to create a program that pulled together multiple pieces of music and readings into an imaginative musical program that revolved around the themes in Santa's letter. Narrator Jim Meal will guide the audience through a rich tapestry of festive themes: drifting snowscapes, the view from Santa's sleigh, the colors and sounds of Christmas, the magic of childhood wonder, moments of loss and longing, nostalgia for Christmases past, and the enduring story of Christ's birth. The concert is designed to offer messages of hope, healing, and peace. Meal will be seated in front of the audience, almost as if he is by the fireside at home. He will read a portion of the letter, and the choral will then illustrate that theme with its musical selections, Jones said. Those musical selections will include a blend of familiar carols and contemporary Christmas pieces. Among them, We Need a Little Christmas, Silver Bells, Where Are You Christmas, Auld Lang Syne, Believe from Polar Express, and I Believe in Father Christmas. Choral members will sing Auld Lang Syne in memory of longtime member Ronald DeFazio, who passed away in July. The music, along with others, were chosen to create a musical journey inspired by the joys and complexities of the holiday season, Jones said. The music is intended to invite listeners of all ages to reflect, remember, and celebrate together. The choral will be accompanied by its longtime accompanist, Doug Hansen, and will also be joined by Philip Nash on 2 selections. Nash is the principal flautist with the Brighton Symphony Orchestra in Rochester. More information, Letters from Father Christmas, a concert by Genesee Choral, when 4 p.m. December 13th, where St. James Episcopal Church, 405 East Main Street, Batavia. Tickets are $10, available at the door from a choral member and online at geneseechoral.com/concerts. Question of the day. Question from the Daily News staff. If you swapped genders for a day, how would you spend it? Have an answer? Share it with us in the comments of our Facebook post. The previous question, would you rather ask permission or apologize later? Wendy N. says, depends on the situation. If someone is in danger, I'd rather ask for forgiveness later. If not, I prefer getting permission before proceeding. Amanda C. on would you rather ask permission or apologize later? She says, apologize later. Barrett F. on would you rather ask permission or apologize later? I once asked God for a bike, but I realized that God didn't really work like that, so I stole a bike and asked forgiveness instead. Want to share your answers with the Daily News directly? Feel free to send it to bfunderburk@batavianews.com. That's BFUNDERBURK@batavianews.com. Looking to sponsor Question of the Day? Contact us at 1-585-343-8000. Former JCPenney may become hotel and banquet site. Article by Brian Quinn. The city of Batavia is anticipating hotel development at the former JCPenney property at Batavia City Center. City manager Rachel Tobuski mentioned the possibility of development there while talking about a bed tax resolution the city council passed Monday night. The council is asking the state for authority to impose a 3% occupancy tax on stays at hotels or motels. We have several other developers looking at other sites in the city, contemplating hotels, she said, with multiple hospitality projects in various stages of planning and development, including the anticipated hotel and banquet facility at the former JCPenney site. This is an appropriate time for the city to review a bed tax. The city manager said discussions don't involve a specific hotel brand. It's a project that is in the works with Matt Gray, the owner of the building, Tabelski said. Gray and his business partner, Matthew Boyd, own the property. I did talk to my colleagues in other cities. A lot of the other cities' bed tax is between 3 and 5%, Tabelski said. She said the city's role is to help the property's owners and economic development funds and things like that. How long has a potential hotel project been in the works? We've been working on it for the last 5 or 6 months. There's a program that came up called Achieve. He, Gray, has a $6 million grant application out there, and we hope to hear on soon. The Achieve initiative is through the Finger Lakes Regional Economic Development Council. If that comes through, I think we have a good shot at it, Tabelski said. She said she doesn't know when there will be an announcement on whether the money came through, but that she hopes to hear something in the next month. Regarding a bed tax, the city of Batavia doesn't have the authority to set a tax. State law says Batavia needs a bill introduced by its state representatives and approved by the state legislature. Wreaths Across America ceremony set for Saturday. Program to start at noon at Western New York National Cemetery. Article by Brian Quinn. The families of veterans, along with volunteers, will place wreaths at the veterans' grave sites as the annual Wreaths Across America returns to the Western New York National Cemetery at noon Saturday. There will be a short ceremony at the cemetery, 1254 Indian Falls Road, to include the presentation of colors, the national anthem, and the laying of the wreaths by each military branch. After that, family members whose loved ones are buried in the cemetery will be able to place wreaths at their veterans' headstones first. The public may purchase wreaths through the Pembroke Veterans Outreach Club, led by Pembroke Central School District students. Pembroke teacher and Veterans Outreach Club administrator Matt Moscato said the program for Wreaths Across America will be the same as in the past years. Teacher assistant Kim Sanko has been Outreach Club assistant advisor for the last 5 or 6 years, Moscato said. This year, the club has collected about $6,000 in donations to purchase wreaths. We are still collecting, Moscato said Monday. Wreaths are $17, but donations of any amount will be accepted. It all gets pooled together and we make the purchases. Any donations above and beyond what is needed for coverage this year goes towards next year. About 24 to 2,500 grave sites will be getting wreaths, according to Moscato. All grave sites will have one. That is about 800 more headstones than last year, Moscato said. Next year, there could be that many more wreaths needed. We are purchasing wreaths to make sure that all of the headstones are covered next year. There's really no deadline. Wreaths are sold year-round. Those who want to buy wreaths may send a check to the Pembroke Veterans Outreach Club, Pembroke Junior-Senior High School, P.O. Box 308, Corfu, New York, 14036. They may also use a QR code found on the first page of the district's Dragon Tales Fall 2025 newsletter. There is also a link at wreathsacrossamerica.org/NY0368P. You've been listening to a reading of articles and features from the Thursday, December 11th, 2025 issue of the Batavia Daily News. Your reader has been Bruce. Thank you for listening, and always make it a great day.
Coming up next in the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, we have the East Aurora Advertiser. At 11 o'clock, we have the Niagara Gazette. And at noon, we have the Dunkirk Observer. Stay with us for these readings and more throughout the day. Radio Reading mails out a large print program schedule to our listeners every other month. If you have not received a Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service large print program schedule in the mail, please call us at 716-821-5555. We will make sure that you receive one every other month. A Braille version of the schedule is also available upon request. Our number again is 716-821-5555. The following program is intended for listeners who are blind, have low vision,